Some say a mirror facing another mirror creates a hallway, an infinite path. But old stories whisper of a space between the glass, a corridor of echoes, silent and waiting. Legends claim if you stare too long into that endless depth, something might stare back. The Grand Hotel Beaumont was full of such foolish things. Faded grandeur, thick with the scent of decay and forgotten perfume. Shadows stretched and twisted when you weren't looking. In room 237, two tall, ornate mirrors stood opposite each other, a silent invitation to the abyss. The glass was old, silvered with age, dotted with ghostly freckles. They had watched decades of guests come and go, reflecting joy, sadness, and secrets. Now, they stood as silent sentinels, guarding a path no living soul should walk. The staff would not speak of them. The room was permanently out of service. The legend was simple and terrifying. The mirrors did not just reflect the room, they reflected what the room remembered. They trapped echoes of strong emotions, fear, despair, agony. Sometimes, if the emotion was strong enough, they trapped more than just an echo. They trapped the person who felt it. The whispering glass would pull you into that endless hallway of reflections. You would become just another ghost in the corridor, another silent face, waiting for the next person foolish enough to look. The mirrors were not just glass and silver, they were a doorway, and it only opened one way. In the Beaumont, the past never truly left. It waited, patient behind the glass, watching. The last person to stay in room 237 was Julian Croft, a young artist seeking inspiration. He checked in on a cold October evening in 1988, drawn by the legend of the mirrors. He requested the room, ignoring the manager's warnings. 3 days later, housekeeping found the room empty. The bed was untouched, his suitcase still packed. On the desk, his sketchbook was filled with frantic drawings, twisting corridors, distorted reflections. In the later sketches, a tall, thin figure appeared deep within the mirrored tunnel. The final page held only a message, scrawled with desperate force. "Don't look away. It gets closer when you look away. It's wearing my face now." Julian Croft had vanished from a locked room. The police found no evidence, no struggle. The door was sealed, and the hotel tried to forget. But the story became legend, a warning whispered among staff and locals. Julian Croft became the last guest. His disappearance was proof. The mirrors were a doorway, and it only opened one way. The room remained empty, but the legend grew. The mirrors waited. 20 years later, paranormal investigator Evelyn Hayes set out to debunk the legend. She booked the room under a false name, armed with cameras and skepticism. She set up her equipment, determined to capture the mundane truth. The first hours were silent, just her reflection, repeated into infinity. Then, a flicker. For a moment, her reflection was not her, but Julian Croft. She blinked and it was gone. Replay confirmed it. A man's terrified eyes in the glass. The room grew cold, the silence heavy. She spoke into her recorder, voice trembling. On the monitor, her reflection in the distant corridor turned its head and smiled. A slow, unnatural smile. Panic seized her. The reflections began to move on their own, stepping closer with each repeated image. She grabbed her equipment, backing toward the door, eyes on the monitors. The smiling reflection walked toward her, growing larger, closing the distance down the infinite hall. She fled, never to return. Her footage became a warning. Stay away from room 237. But the evidence only fueled the legend. The mirrors had claimed another story. The door remained closed, but the corridor behind the glass was never empty. It waited. The legend drew others. The last was Leo, a vlogger chasing internet fame. He live-streamed his night in room 237, mocking the stories at first. As the night wore on, his bravado faded. He whispered about the cold, about movement in the mirrors. The theory, the mirrors create a duplicate, a reflection that hunts the original. In the final minutes, Leo sobbed, cornered, staring at the glass. "It looks just like me, but it's not me. It's smiling!" He turned the camera to the mirror, his terrified face, and behind him the same face, calm and smiling. The reflection raised a hand and waved. Leo screamed. The camera fell, facing the mirror. We saw the reflection step out, identical but moving with chilling grace. It looked down, smiled, and reached for the lens. The feed cut to static. The room was empty the next day, the camera on the floor. The mirrors were silent, waiting. The legend endures. Next time you look in a mirror, are you sure the person looking back is really you?